Good afternoon, I'm Sean Yao, and this is One News Now. FEVOX has a warning to downstream communities around the Mayon volcano, and that is to watch out for lahar flows at the onset of heavy rain. Recall that during Mayon's eruption back in 2006, over 1,200 people died in lahar flows and landslides triggered by Typhoon Reming. Nearly 50,000 residents were also evacuated at the time. This is why FEVOX Director Toto Bacolcol is warning residents to be on their toes, especially when heavy rains come.
All the new volcanic materials, as long as nasa slope sila, and kapag buhusan mo ng torrential rains, pwedeng ma-remobilize po sila as lahar deposits. We are warning people, nakatira sila malapit sa mga river channels, sa paanan ng vulkan, to watch out for lahars. Mag-i-issue na po kami ng lahar advisory kapag nangyari po yun.
In other news, over 30 aftershocks have been recorded from the magnitude 6.3 earthquake that jolted Luzon yesterday. The NDRRMC said there were no casualties and major damage from the strong tremor. The agency also assured commuters that the Ayala and Boni stations of the MRT-3 remain safe, despite cracks discovered on their walls immediately after the quake. Monitoring of affected areas is still underway, particularly in Calatagan, Batangas, the epicenter of the earthquake. The country's economic managers touted the Maharlika Investment Fund once again, this time around before businessmen in Singapore. Finance Chief Benjamin Diokno said that MIF returns will be an alternative funding source to ramp up Manila's infrastructure program. The Philippine government has about 194 infrastructure projects lined up with a combined worth of around 8.3 trillion pesos. Secretary Diokno also proposed creating sub-funds under the MIF.
The fund has to earn money. So you have short-term, long-term investments, and we propose to create several sub-funds, infrastructure fund, maybe green fund, and so forth and so on. Okay.
For his part, Socio-Economic Planning Chief Arsenio Balisacan promised to prioritize private sector investments to the Maharlika Fund, underscoring its role in the country's labor sector.
There is no other way of improving the quality of employment than getting a major push in the investment. So we need to get those investments to complement a rapidly growing labor force.
The Marcos administration's economic team also said that investments from the private sector will help the Philippines attain its GDP growth target of 6.5% to 8%. With this, they believe the country will be able to achieve upper middle income status within 2 years. However, the Marcos government is still keeping an eye on inflation and other risks that weigh on the economy.
The risks are still on the upside for both this year and for next year. So we're at the BSP, we're continuing to monitor the possible upside risks to inflation. And let me mention a number of them that we've flagged to the Monetary Board, including additional transport fare hikes, higher domestic food prices, higher wage adjustments.
Moving on now to one regional study showing Filipino TikTokers earning more than minimum wage. In TikTok Southeast Asia Socio-Economic Report, 40% of surveyed creators in the Philippines said they are raking in much more than the daily minimum wage, which stands at 570 pesos in Metro Manila and between 340 to 400 pesos in the regions. In Southeast Asia, 80% of content creators reported boosting their incomes through TikTok Live and paid partnerships with various brands. The survey ran from August to September of last year. We're pausing for a short break. One News Now will be back with more stories after that. Stay with us. You're back on One News Now. I'm Sean Yao. The Vatican has released the first images of Pope Francis since his abdominal surgery on June 7. The photos show the pontiff in a wheelchair while visiting the children's cancer ward. In the other images, Pope Francis can be seen in the corridor of the pediatric oncology ward of the Gemelli Hospital, where he is also confined, talking to patients, parents, and medical staff. Observers are taking these photographs as a sign that the Pope will be discharged very soon. The 86-year-old pontiff went under the knife 2 weeks ago to repair a hernia in his abdominal wall and to remove scar tissue that is causing intestinal blockages. Let's now take a quick look at today's other top stories. Vice President Sara Duterte called for the inclusion of LGBTQIA+ members in the business sector. In a speech during the first ever OVP Pride reception, Duterte noted the limited opportunities for the gay community. In turn, the VP promised to provide the LGBTQIA+ community with platforms where they can showcase their creativity and resourcefulness. Senator Bato de la Rosa calls those opposed to the revival of the mandatory ROTC as unpatriotic. The outspoken lawmaker was reacting to a survey that showed most Catholic school students are not in favor of the compulsory basic military training. Senator de la Rosa reiterated that it is the duty or constitutional duty of every Filipino to defend the country. The Senate Tourism and Public Services panels will investigate the flurry of passenger complaints against Cebu Pacific. The Senate hearing has been set for Wednesday, June 21. The inquiry will tackle the supposed overbooking, offloading, and glitches in the flight bookings of the budget carrier. And in sports, the Gilas women's team is off to Australia on Saturday, heading into the last stretch of preparations for the Asia Cup. Marty Bautista with the story.
The Gilas women's team has ramped up training ahead of the upcoming FIBA Women's Asia Cup. The team currently practices at the Aero Center basketball court in Quezon City. Yesterday, the team had a tune-up game against the FEU Baby Tamaraws. And this Saturday, the team is off to Melbourne in Australia for a training camp. And they got a backcourt boost just in time with the addition of Duke University's Vanessa De Jesus. De Jesus, whose parents are both Filipinos, is ready to go for Gilas after securing the necessary documents. She will be able to join the team once they land in Australia. There, she will meet her teammates and Coach Pat Aquino for the first time.
We'll be having friendly games, at least 2 to 3 friendly games in Melbourne before going up to Sydney. So I think it's an ample time for Vanessa to know her teammates and know the plays, know the system, and I think he's very intelligent in knowing all those things.
In 66 games for Duke at the US NCAA, Vanessa averaged 5.1 points, 2.3 rebounds, and 2 assists per game. The guard's presence will surely help the team because of her build and experience in the US NCAA.
She has the body and the size for a point guard, and that's what we're, lacking talaga. And her knowledge playing against top colleges in the USA, that's gonna help her experience. It's gonna help us a lot.
Gilas women will also bring to Australia lessons from the recent silver medal finish at the 32nd Southeast Asian Games in Cambodia.
We can't be complacent. I think that we also have to kind of have bigger heart, more puso. Sometimes when we got down in some of the games, we were quick to give up. So I think that moving forward, we just gotta have a better attitude going into the games.
The FIBA Women's Asia Cup takes place from June 26 to July 2 at the K Center, Sydney Olympic Park. The Philippines is in a tough Group B along with host country Australia, 5-time defending Women's Asia Cup champion Japan, and Chinese Taipei. Gilas women will play Australia first on June 26. For News 5, Marty Bautista, we are One News.
One News Now will be back with the latest stories at 6:30 p.m. I'm Sean Yao. We are One News.